Hey guys, what's up? My name's Eva. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be all about heartbreak. So we're going to be talking about my tips, things I've learned along the way that I hope can really benefit you, and that you can grab something through this and ultimately just know that it will be okay. And I'm just going to tell you now, like, it's tough. It's hard. I know I've been through a lot of them. I've been through some devastating things, but honestly, at the end of the day, comes growth. And at the end of the day, every heartbreak I've ever been through has just led me to be a stronger person, has led me to be closer to God, has led me to be able to understand and relate to people better. So guys, if you're watching this, I really hope that you grab something from this. I hope that this speaks to you, and ultimately that you'll be able to find some healing in this. So if you're interested, I hope that you stay around, and if you're here already, thank you so much, and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, my first tip is honor your emotions. I don't know about you guys, but every time I've been through a breakup or something super devastating, I'm very hard on myself. I think especially in the world we live in today, where we have this almost pressure to get over things quickly and to not kind of like sit in our emotions. Like, we have to be the best version of ourselves all the time, otherwise we're failing. But for me, going through this, especially, I'm just going to refer to my last breakup, but one that just happened 6 months ago, was very devastating. If you guys watched my testimony video, I talk about that a bit, but it was soul crushing. And I just want to say, if you're going through something right now, whether it's a loss of a parent, a loss of a friend, particularly in this case, a loss of a relationship, and you're just heartbroken, honestly, don't like ignore your feelings. Honor them. Know that it's okay what you're going through. What you're going through is normal. What you're going through is completely valid. Your feelings are valid. And I think that's something that took me a while to kind of just learn, and to be kind to myself would be the word. I was very hard on myself. But it is so important that after the breakup that you really just understand and sit and be okay with those emotions. Guys, I was, healing for a very long time after some breakups. It would take me sometimes 9 months, a year. And I just want to say that that is okay. I think there's, a part that also you want to understand where it becomes unhealthy. Like, you don't want to try to wallow in the despair all the time, because that can be dangerous and lead to a darker hole. I definitely think it's important to honor your emotions. I definitely think it's important to cry, because honestly, breakups suck. Like, let's just be honest. They suck. You really care about someone, you're in love with that person, and then that tie is just completely broken. So cry if you need to, honestly. Like, I remember after my last breakup, I was in bed for like 3 days straight just crying. And a part of me would get upset at myself. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, I need to be out. I should be like staying busy. But at the same time, you need to deal with those emotions, because if you don't and you just bottle them up, I promise you later, they're just going to come out again, and even worse. And so you have to deal with them. You have to cry. You have to have days where you just watch movies and let yourself feel sad. There's nothing wrong with that. And so just be kind to yourself, I would say, is seriously be gentle with yourself, because no one else is going to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are the person you have to live with and sit with at the end of the day. And so you need to be kind to yourself. You need to be gentle. You need to remind yourself that what you're going through is okay and it's normal. And it's going to hurt. Every day I would tell myself, I'm like, this sucks. Literally, it sucks and it's heartbreaking, but I know that I'm going to get through it. And I know I'm going to get through it because I've gotten through all my other ones. And in the moment, it's hard to see that because you're just so surrounded by a cloud of hurt. But you will get through it, honestly. Heartbreak sucks, but it's not going to kill you. It will maybe put a hiccup in, the time that you're in right now. But you're going to be so much stronger after. And honestly, I know it's hard probably to see it right now, but throughout everything you're going through with this heartbreak, you will come out as a very, very different person, but a much stronger version of yourself. And so that would be my first tip. Be kind to yourself. Let yourself feel the emotions. Guys, I was crying in the shower for days sometimes. I would be out with my family at dinner like a month after the breakup. And I remember clearly I was sitting there at the table with them at a restaurant, and I just all of a sudden had a thought of him, and I just started like replaying all these like scenarios of us, and I just was like, I need to go to the washroom. I went to the washroom and I just started crying for a good like 20 minutes. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Human connection, God gave us connection with people, and it's a beautiful thing. But we also have to realize, this could be another video, but there's such a thing as a soul tie. There's such a thing as having boundaries and guarding your heart. But that aside, how you're feeling is completely fine, and I hope you realize that, and just be gentle to yourself, be kind to yourself. And yeah, that's tip number 1. Okay guys, tip number 2, most important tip I'm going to have in this whole video, honestly, is just to draw closer to God. He is the ultimate healer. He is very close to those who are brokenhearted. And that is where I found my true healing. That's where I found my true peace. That is where I was literally felt like I was just hugged the whole time by Jesus. Like I was getting like carried by him just through this hardship, that he was just very close to me. And this time could be so critical, and it is very crucial that you use this time to just draw close to him. You know, he wants to know your struggles. He wants to know your hardships. He wants to know the thoughts on your mind. And so talking to God is just like a relationship. So for me, after my breakup, I realized that I was putting a lot of emphasis on my ex. It was almost a form of idolatry to me, where I knew God was there, but I was focusing on my boyfriend more than God, which isn't right, and it's very common. But I was like, okay, God, after this breakup, I was like, I'm going to give you my full devotion and my full attention. I want a stronger relationship with you. I want you to be the number 1 love of my life and not anyone else. And honestly, it was so healing in every single way. Like, I was in his word a lot. I was going to church more. I was playing worship music more. And guys, it will lift your spirits. When you draw close to God, he will draw close to you. And I just want to read this verse out of Psalms, which is something that I really meditated on a lot when I was going through some hardship. But it basically says, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. And I love this part right here that says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. And that's just one of the verses. I mean, you can search the Bible, and there's countless verses of how God really just desires and wants us to be close to him in times like this. And, you know, he was literally and always is my lifeline when things get hard, but also when things are good. I think it's important to remember that, you know, God wants relationship with us, whether we're hurt or whether we're having the best day ever. But in context, this video, like, use this time, use this singleness, use this hardship to just draw close to God. Another thing I want to talk about is how important and how amazing when you see it this way, is to just really like cherish your singleness. Again, this will be another video I film all about singleness, but guys, it's important. It's important for your growth. It's important to God. And I really feel like in your single time is where you can really use that to create a stronger relationship with Jesus, and also let him just heal you from the inside out. It allows you to just really be refreshed, or allows your mind to just be more peaceful. And I know with me, when I got through my last breakup and it ended, I had very obsessive thoughts. And I think that's normal. Rather, I know it's normal. I've talked to other people about it, but where you kind of just pick on something and you keep replaying it in your mind and all the what ifs. And if I did that differently, would it have ended differently? And oh, but like we were so amazing for each other. And trust me, I know, like I've been through all of it, and it's hard. you can find yourself kind of going in a vicious cycle of worry and anxiety. But thankfully, God takes that all away. When you truly surrender to Him, He will take it away. And so that is just a huge reminder for you guys. One of the most, actually is the most important tip I have in this whole video, but draw near to God. Use this time to strengthen your relationship with Him. Use this time to really just get to know Him more. Use this time to allow Him to just feed your soul. And just honestly fix your focus. If you were focusing so much on your relationship, what if you just fixed your focus on Jesus Christ and what He's done for you and who He tells you you are and the work He's going to do in your life and the amazing promises He has. You know, He tells us that He has plans to give us an amazing hope and an amazing future and plans not to harm us. So I truly hope that you remember and you meditate on the fact that God is working everything out for your good, even if we don't see it. You know, sometimes I think about God like in heaven and He's just like watching from a bird's eye view and He just sees how beautiful everything is going to be working for His good. But us as humans, we don't see that. We're very caught up. We can't see the future. If we did, we'd be God, but we're not. So we need to trust and rely on God and that whatever He's doing is going to bless us in the future, even if it's hard right now. So that is the most important tip I have for you. That is tip number 2. All right, guys, tip number 3, important as well. Surround yourself with community and friends. I know when you're going through a breakup, it can be very easy to isolate yourself. And I do think it's important to spend time alone after a breakup, definitely, because I think it's important to grow and reflect and just spend that time in your feelings, like I said, and to really just, honor those emotions. But on the opposite spectrum, it's also very important to surround yourself with people who love you, with people who encourage you, with people who want the best for you, with people who point you in the right direction. And so that can come in any form. I know sometimes also after breakups, I've seen from my past that I tend to push some friends away because I was so consumed in my relationship. And even like back in high school, I was so just consumed by my relationship that I actually lost a lot of friends because I just didn't pay attention to them as much. Which don't do that, please. Because if your relationship ends, you want those people there who still care for you. Regardless of that, guys, spend time with people who love you, seriously, and people who want the best for you. It's important. It will really feed your heart. It will feed your mind. It will help you heal. And even if you don't have many friends, guys, there are still a lot of opportunities to get involved. I know with this pandemic right now, man, it's hard. My breakup was at the beginning of this pandemic. So I know I was going through a breakup in the pandemic and I was like, seriously, God, what's going on? There's so much going on right now. I'm isolated in my house. I can't see many of my friends because everyone's worried. I'm also going through this huge heartbreak. So I know firsthand how difficult it can be, especially finding community in this time right now. But community can be in any form, whether it's an online church you're a part of, whether it's volunteering. I know there's still some volunteer opportunities in person around the city. Well, I'm from Toronto, so I don't know where you're from, but I'm sure you can get involved in whatever it is. But yeah, really count on your friends during this time, and really just see them as much as you can, whether it's a FaceTime call, a phone call, getting together for dinners. And of course, it's normal that you're still going to be thinking about, your ex when you're with them and all that, but really try to just be present, I think is important too. Tell yourself, okay, today's hard, but I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to cry in the morning and another 10 minutes at night. And in between that time, I'm just going to do things that make me happy. I'm going to surround myself with people who love me. I'm going to surround myself with community. And church is very important, especially right now. It's always important, but I think right now we could all use community in the godly sense. So that is definitely another important tip for me, guys. So yeah, just remind yourself that, it's not going to last forever, this heartbreak, but during this difficult time, just surround yourself with people who really love you and just do things that you enjoy. Tip number 4 is really to just focus on the things that you love. So your passions, your interests. I know after a breakup, it can be very easy to kind of just wallow in self-pity and kind of just forget the things that you really enjoy. And even throughout your relationship, sometimes you're so focused on your partner and their interests and keeping your relationship afloat, especially if it's a toxic relationship, and you tend to forget about the things that really made you happy outside of that. And I think it's so important to use this time and that energy of maybe being so sad and pouring it into something that is really just going to flourish and make you happy. So for me, for instance, I love painting, I love writing, I love working out, I love Jesus, obviously. No, but I do. But just like use those times to really just, I guess, just like pour yourself into something else other than your situation that's going on right now. You know, I'm not saying to ignore it completely, but also give yourself that good balance. Allow yourself to be sad some days, but other days, man, allow yourself to be happy. Allow yourself to do things that is going to make your soul just fed and your heart happy. So maybe you lost an interest in something and now you're like, okay, maybe now is the perfect time, you know, or learn a new hobby. There's so many things you can do online where you can just learn, so many YouTube videos you can watch, get into a new craft. Maybe you want to start working out more. Give yourself like a challenge. For 30 days, I'm going to do this every single day. And that's also something really important. I didn't include it in one of the tips, but make a schedule, especially if you're an anxious person like I was. Like, am I still anxious? Sometimes, but for me, lists and schedules are very important, and it honestly helps a lot during the breakup. So maybe even in the morning, like, okay, I'm gonna read my Bible for an hour, and then after that, I'm gonna do something new that I haven't done. I'm gonna maybe go for a run every single day for a month. And you know, it's just when you pour yourself into these new things, they can actually become habits. So yeah, maybe get into the habit of doing things that really just make you happy, things that you've lost interest in, but you want to reignite that spark. So many endless things you can do to kind of just make yourself feel better. Okay, the next tip is super important. I feel like I'm saying they're all important, but they are. For me, one of the most important things besides drawing near to God, I think the second thing that came for me was self-reflection. I don't know if you guys journal, and I think some people might find it hard to journal because maybe you've never done it or you're not used to it, which is fine. Everyone has their own outlet, but try to get into the habit of journaling. For me, I call it free therapy. Therapy is expensive and I'm all for it. Honestly, I've done therapy in the past. I think it's great. That's another tip. I do not think therapy should be shamed upon. I think every single person should talk to a therapist. I think it's very beneficial. You get an unbiased view. It helps you grow and reflect. But if, say, you don't have the finances or coverage for that, I think journaling... Wow, what did I say? I think journaling is just as good and important. And for me, I've been someone who's kept journals my entire life. I'm 27 now, so I have like hundreds of journals. And looking back, one, it's such a reminder of how faithful God has been throughout my whole life, just seeing like where he's brought me out of. But two, it really just allows me to pour my heart and my emotions. There will be days where I just write for like hours because I'm hurting or I was upset. And I feel such a weight had been lifted off my shoulders after I like write and write and write. For some people, for you guys, it might just be, honestly, sounds weird, but staring at yourself in the mirror and just like talking it through. For me, I'm also a very audible person. Everyone's different. So that's why I did like therapy when I was in it, because for me to grow and for me to reflect, I liked hearing myself talk about it because it was a release for me. So everyone's different. Do whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, just really reflect. I think after a breakup, it's very hard. I would say like the first few weeks, your mind is going to be very confused and jumbled. Some of you might have clarity already, which is awesome. But for me, I know when you're in a toxic relationship, you're in a relationship that, you know, is very intertwined and a long time. It's very easy to get caught up in all the what ifs. And I don't know if I should have done this, but the longer you go without talking to that person as well, you'll be able to have more clarity and really see and reflect on the things that maybe you did wrong and the things that maybe they did wrong. Like, let's just remember that a relationship was a two-way street. Use this time, whether you'd made mistakes, whether your ex made mistakes, maybe you both didn't even make mistakes. It was just a mutual decision and you guys just weren't good for each other. But allow yourself time to really just think back and don't think about it too much. Like, you don't want to start getting like to the point where you're just getting super depressed because of it, but think of it in a healthy way where, okay, like what can I learn from this? What are the things that went wrong that I want to improve on? Where are the areas that were red flags that I don't want to have in my next relationship? Write a list. Seriously, I'm all about lists, clearly. But what I did after this last relationship was I wrote like a pros and cons list. What are characteristics that I really liked about my ex? What are things that I just didn't like and I really want different in my next partner? And so I think that's so important, and really just reminding yourself of what you deserve for your next relationship, setting boundaries for yourself, guys, setting standards is so important. And I think sometimes when we're in a relationship, especially a toxic one, we can lower our standards, but just use this time to really reinforce those things. Figure out who you are, what you want going forward, and where boundaries are going to be drawn. So self-reflection is a huge thing for me, and I really think it'll benefit you guys as well. All right, guys, number 6, so important equally, but no contact. I wish I could just like scream that and grab one of you guys if you're contacting your ex right now and just shake you. But seriously, if that's you, I just, I understand. I'm not like condemning you in any way. I'm not judging you. I've been there, but please, I just pray that you realize how important it is for your own healing that you cut that contact. It's a dangerous slope, and a lot of these like love coaches I used to watch, they would say the same thing. They'd be like, contact with your ex is just like detrimental to your moving on process. And not only that from their advice, but take my advice, someone who's been through breakups for my whole life and who's basically been heartbroken and had to deal with a lot of stuff. But it is true. The more you contact your ex, the more he contacts you or she contacts you, it's going to be harder. It's going to really like slow down your healing. It's really just going to make it difficult for both of you to move on in a healthy manner. And I know it's hard, obviously, like when you have that connection with someone, it's hard to just say like, you know what, we have to stop completely talking, but that's the best thing you can do for you. That's the best thing you can do for them. And I don't just mean like texting and calling. I mean also social media, which in our generation is a huge thing, we all know. And it's so easy to fall into that, pit of, okay, well, I'm just going to check their social media once today and I'm going to see if she's following him or he's following her and did they post anything. And oh, that is a spiral you guys don't want to get into. And I've been there, and it's toxic, and it's worrisome, it's anxiety, it's all these things God doesn't want us to have. And if that means you have to cut it at its root, then do it. For me, after my breakup, which ended 6 months ago, like I talked about, I had to delete Instagram for a good month. I gave my cousin my account. I told her to change my password. And I know that might seem kind of extreme to some of you, but for me, I knew I had to do it for my own my healing process. I didn't care about what other people thought. At the end of the day, like, I wanted to be healed. I wanted to move on the best way possible. And that was such a big thing for me, was doing no contact. It helped me immensely. There was days where I felt like I wanted to reach out to him, and on those days I put down my phone and I walked away and I did something instead. I would call a friend. I would call my cousin. I would, cry if I had to, but I just did everything in my power. And I prayed about it a lot. Like, God, like, keep me strong. And no contact is difficult. I totally empathize. I get it. Seriously, I get it. And if you're going through this right now, like, all my love goes out to you. Seriously, you're not alone. A lot of people are going through it right now, and it's difficult, especially breakups. I feel like there's just been a spike in breakups during this pandemic. And it's hard. And I think it's, even harder when we are going through this isolation period. Like, it's bad enough when we're hurting, but it's even harder when we're going through something like this. So I get it, but please just take care of your mental health. And if that means deleting Instagram, if that means blocking their number, do what you have to do for your well-being. Seriously, sometimes you need to be selfish. Sometimes you need to seriously just put yourself first in every aspect. And I know it might seem rude to your ex, but guess what? Like, you need to do what's best for you, and God wants what's best for you. So put yourself first. And you know what? Like, you'll realize after a while how much more clarity you will have. I know how easy it is to get wrapped up in the I guess, like the worry and the anxiety and the what ifs after a breakup, and we can go around in our heads for a very long time about it, but that's not going to get us anywhere. And so just put yourself first, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and ultimately it will be very healing. Guys, those were just 6 of my tips, things that I wish I kind of knew when I was going through this stuff and can see clearer about like what are the things I should do. But you kind of learn as you go, right? And so I hope that this video has been a help to some of you. I hope that you've gotten something from this. I hope that it's been healing for some of you and it's given you guys some hope. But if I can say one thing throughout this whole video, it's this. It's that know that things will get better. Everything is temporary, seriously, and God is for you. He's with you. He's never going to leave you. And I think that is such a reassuring and comforting thing we can rest in, to know that He is always working for your good. And so I pray that going forward, guys, that you just take care of yourself, be kind to yourself. It's going to be a difficult time, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you will be okay, and you will be stronger because of this. And my heart just goes out to you guys. But you guys got this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.